Ya.
Y yo le paso la palabra a Karen Gole, ¿ok? Okay, welcome everybody. We are starting our fourth week of One Word Seminar. I'm Umberto Bonomo, and I give the floor to Karen Gole to present the session, today's session. Karen, please.
Thank you, Humberto. Dear all, thank you for joining us and welcome to our World Heritage 2021 debate and the month dedicated to the impact of disasters and pandemics on World Heritage sites. I'm Karen Gole, Coordinator of Cultural Heritage Courses at the Cultural Heritage Center of the Pontificia Universidad Católica de Chile. Thanks to the participation of the Cultural Heritage Center's team, Humberto Bonomo, Yolanda Muñoz, and Hilter González, we have organized a One World seminar that brings us profound knowledge accumulated from around the world on how pandemics and natural disasters have affected and continue affecting our World Heritage sites. The speakers of this session will kindly share different case studies, experiences, and lessons, allowing us to obtain a better context related to the recent situation and state of our World Heritage. Throughout this month, we have organized more than 20 sessions and conversations, a collective effort of more than 100 people, some of which are from the most remote areas of the globe. I would also like to thank all the coordinators of each of the sessions and the presenters who will accompany us throughout the month of May. For those who don't know the Our World Heritage Foundation, it seems relevant to me to recall our goals. The purpose of the foundation is to promote heritage protection, conservation, and management to support knowledge-based decision-making, to promote good governance of the World Heritage Convention, to engage and empower civil society in heritage protection and management. Having said this, I will introduce the theme of this month, sharing with you a short video that explains how disasters and pandemics have affected the world. Hilter, please.
Recent disasters and an actual pandemic have exposed the fragility and vulnerability of our world heritage. These exceptional sites and pieces, which we would like to preserve for all humanity and future generations, do not exist in a segregated world. They belong to our social environment and our daily life. But at the same time, the World Heritage Sites are in danger. They are threatened by natural hazards that attempt against their existence. The pandemic has revealed their fragility and how much the human presence in them is vital and necessary for their survival. How can we protect them and at the same time give them life and new meanings? If we hope for a future for them, we should stop considering them only as beautiful objects or places, merchandise for the tourist industry, and fully integrate them into the social and cultural dynamics of daily life. We propose to promote a great discussion around the world on the risks and effects of disasters and pandemics on World Heritage Sites. We invite non-governmental organizations, academies, representatives of civil society, and local governments to participate, to contribute with new proposals for public policies on the conservation and safeguarding of the cultural and natural heritage of humanity.
Today's session is session 16, Sustainability and Future After Disaster and Pandemics, which is moderated by Karen Fried. Vice President of ICOMOS Chile, International Council on Monuments and Sites, Associate Member of International Committee on Historic Sites, Towns and Villages, National Councillor of the Council of National Monuments, representing the Chilean Architect College, Sustainable Development Goals Working Group, representing ICOMOS Chile. She got the Manuel Moreno Guerrero Award 2019 as an architect who has excelled in her professional work in the field of valuing the national architect heritage. Karen, please. I give you the floor.
Thank you so much, Karen. Welcome everybody to this session. The pandemic and the confinement associated with the preventive measures has had an impact on the economic sustainability of historic centers, interrupting the preventive conservation planning process of our nations, require the implementation of stimulus measures by the governments and international assistance in some cases. The social recovery will constitute also one of the greatest challenges. Even the World Health Organization has recognized the relevance of the culture in the people's health. The design of policies to mitigate the impacts of the pandemics from the competence of heritage can generate synergy in the communities in order to project a sustainability future. I want to share with the first colleague. She is Dominique Chang. Dominique Chang is an architect, professor, and research of the Technological Institute of Costa Rica. She also has a postgraduate studies in Guatemala, Mexico, Japan, and Spain in valuation, planning, management, and conservation of historic centers and protected natural areas, also archaeology, heritage, degradation of materials, and architectural cultural assets. She talking about today of Antigua, Guatemala, a resilience site. The World Heritage that she studied and shared with us today is Antigua, Guatemala. Dominique?
Thank you, Karen.
Welcome.
Hi, everybody. Let me share my screen. Everyone is seeing it. Okay, yes, I will be talking about Guatemala City and Antigua, Guatemala, a resilient city. Antigua, Guatemala is a countless example of interaction between heritage and disaster. The city will always be exposed to threats due to its biophysical location. The population of Antigua is aware of this. Through history, has demonstrated an enormous capacity for resilience. This natural developed social resilience requires today more than ever a proper channeling that allows Antigua to be a resilient city that ensures the preservation of its heritage for future generations. For more than 250 years, Antigua, Guatemala was the third settlement of the Kingdom of Guatemala's capital until the Santa Marta earthquake. This forced abandonment of the city saved the Baroque monuments of Antigua, Guatemala for posterity. The urban center was declared a World Heritage Site in 1979, being one of the first living cities with this distinction. Some of its many characteristics are the checkerboard layout typical of the Italian Renaissance of the 16th century and the Barocco Antigueño style, and also the historic urban landscape shaped by the volcano that surrounded. with an immense wealth of intangible heritage, much of which is associated with religion and particularly with the Holy Week. In this map, you see the urban growth of Antigua Guatemala City and its surrounding towns. Antigua has a population of almost 47,000 inhabitants. The estimated population dedicated to tourists is 80%, although only 24% is in the formal sector and represent 59% of the municipal income. Here we see the 4 volcanoes that surround Antigua Guatemala. Here's Antigua Guatemala, here are the 4 volcanoes. 2 of them are active, Fuego and Pacaya. For more than 400 years, Antigua Guatemala has survived at least 4 earthquakes, 2 hurricanes, many volcano eruptions, tropical storms, mudslides, and COVID-19 since its foundation. Here we see a bit of disasters, and here we see, in this photograph, we see the ashes that fell from the volcanic eruption in 2018, which took more than a month to clean up. The most relevant threats are associated with urban and governance issues. There are multiple interests that are not always compatible with each other and with heritage. And of course, a lack of a shared vision. For example, we have urban pressure for densification, construction, and expansion. New urban developments tend to present contemporary architecture as a fake colonial, land price speculation, and gentrification. In political terms, lack of a good governance structure, the managing competencies overlap between local government and heritage preservation authority. In other words, there is a need of better coordination between the municipality and the National Council for the Protection of Antigua Guatemala. In terms of economy, COVID-19 impact and the tourism pressure. The economic impact caused by COVID-19 in Antigua correspond not only to the onset of international tourists, but also to the paralysis of all economic activity. The graph shows the statistics of tourists in the months of December of the previous year to April, which are the months that are for Christmas and Easter vacation. And here we see when COVID-19 drops the tourism to 0. Services associated with local and international tourists constitute an essential source of resources for conservation and restoration. Although current restoration projects have continued, it has to be considered the impact on future projects. One of the aspects to address the COVID-19 pandemic in terms of reactivating tourism is the establishment of biosecurity protocols for the tourist sector and the corresponding certification provided by the Guatemalan Tourist Institute. Restaurants are working with 30% capacity, prioritizing the use of better ventilated areas such as the central patios. The municipality created tourism boards to encourage tourism and has allowed the use of some streets as an extension of the table area to facilitate social distancing. The succession of disaster characterized Antigua's evolution. That probably is one of the keys for its resilience. The people continue to adapt to the aftermath of disasters that have been shaped their cultural heritage, which constitutes a great example of the interaction between disasters and heritage. To guarantee sustainability, it is necessary to manage the impacts of disaster and pandemics by improving the social culture, technical, legal, administrative, institutional, economic, and financial instruments. Like this table, which represents management and where each leg represents a type of instrument. None can fail, or what is on the table will fall and be damaged. It's necessary to integrate heritage management with risk management to ensure the preservation of heritage. The first step is to have reliable information. Perhaps the most recent documents about Antigua Guatemala are these ones. In 2019, after the volcano Fuego eruption, a workshop on disaster management of cultural heritage was held in Guatemala to promote interinstitutional coordination. However, updating should be a continuous, and the development of a specific regulation is needed. Cultural heritage is susceptible to loss during disaster and pandemics. Heritage perspective integration in disaster risk management, DRM, is essential for its conservation. Consider all the components related to the culture of the place, tangible and intangible assets, and should be progressively adapted by prioritizing management, corrective management, reactive management. Finally, precise instruments assessing damages, making informed decisions to carry out restoration treatments, and strengthening resilience to avoid or mitigate the effects of future disasters. Consider top-bottom and bottom-up approaches and promote multi-level governments so that everyone feels that their opinion have been incorporated into decisions and are legitimate. A comprehensive approach that involves communities and strengthens their capacity to participate meaningfully in the decision-making progress of DRM plans will make heritage more resilient. The three most important future steps in Antigua Guatemala is the construction of a shared and integrated vision to guide the updating of the master plan, which must necessarily be widely socialized and public document. The reform of the law for the protection of Antigua Guatemala 6069, clarifying the competencies of each party and taking advantage of the valuable lessons learned in coordinated management of heritage in the historic center of Guatemala City and Quetzaltenango through the interinstitutional agreements and the creation of common technical legal instruments. The strengthening of the National Council for the Protection of Antigua Guatemala as a specialized technical unit within the General Directorate of Cultural and Natural Heritage. The effect of COVID-19 on heritage are the combined product of a series of previous vulnerability and mismanagement resulting from the complex interaction of numerous factors. The only way of considering reduce their effects is by strengthening the resilience of the assets to be safeguarded, by identifying the most vulnerable components. Remember that heritage is the reflection of the people who identify with it. Their values and meanings continue to be constructed and evolve with its inhabitants, and therefore protecting them against disaster and pandemics is to protect them as a community and preserve its legacy for future generations. A holistic approach to their safeguarding that considers the multiple interests surrounding their outstanding universally value is necessary. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dominique. Thank you so much. Now, I want to see if Masafumi Yamasaki is here. Yes. Karen, Humberto? Yes.
Yes, is Masafumi here.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes, it's here.
Okay. Now we want to present the Professor Masafumi Yamasaki. He is a professor of the Department of Architecture and Urban Design College of Science of the Ritsumeikan University. He wants to talk about the World Heritage Sites of ancient Kyoto in Japan. And the name of the session is Monuments of Ancient Kyoto and What to Do. Welcome, Masafumi.
Hello. I should say I'm sorry to prepare. I could not prepare well, and time is difficult to find a UTC time itself. And I am looking for, oh, no.
To share the screen,
Yeah, yeah.
to share the screen, you have to click.
Yes.
To add the click in the
Yes.
green arrow on the bottom of the Zoom, to share screen. There is a green button.
Yes. Would you wait for a moment?
Okay, don't worry. Take your time.
Oh, it doesn't work. Yes. Oh, no, oh, okay, yes. Can you see photos? No. Can you see photos?
No, to share.
No,
you have to give us the permission to see your screen, clicking the button, the green button on the green share screen in Zoom, in the lowest part of the application. Okay, now, yeah. Okay, now it's working.
You can see.
Yes.
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 We see your screen now.
Perfect.
Yes. Yes. Yes, thank you. I would like to introduce the conditions of the World Heritage of Kyoto, which is made of 14 temples and 1 castle. I didn't prepare a report as the former speaker gave you. I'm sorry.
Don't worry.
We have a conference of owners of World Heritage of Kyoto, made by 14 temples and 1 castle, that has a meeting once a year. And that keeps a conference for people. It is organized by the Platform of Cultural Heritage. But we did not do anything this year for COVID.
We lose, maybe?
I think so.
No, it's coming.
No, Professor Masafumi, you are mute.
No, you can hear.
Yeah, we can hear you.
It is conference by held by Ritsumeikan University. The director is Mr. Koichiro Matsuura, former director of UNESCO, and the vice director is Dr. Toki, professor of Ritsumeikan University. And other directors are Mayor of Kyoto, director of Tea Ceremony School, and so forth. The permanent vice president of the religious Bukkyoism is one of the members of this platform, and I'm one of them. I propose a new system to visit World Heritage. It is to visit by computer, like Google Street View. People select 1 temple and pay some money, then they can select a route to see inside the temple. But religious Bukkyoism says they cannot do that. It touches a difficult historical problem of the tax. They refuse against the feudal laws to take any tax on religious matters 500 years ago. It is still alive. So such condition of letting the people to visit the temple will call the problem again. We have to make it clear that it is religious action. We cannot do that. Next topic, the World Heritage of Ancient Kyoto. World Heritage sites are very quiet in this year. We do not have any foreign travelers. Most of the shops are closed, suffering from much less visitors. There are Japanese visitors in these places to the contrary. Once they gave it up to visit these places, Japanese people disliked to visit there within so many foreigners. They accept people with antiseptic solution, control of number of people, asking wearing masks. Town in front of them are also bearing small number of visitors, closing shops sometimes. They stopped training of fire distinguishment by nearby people with important temple including World Heritage. They do almost nothing special in Japan, but they keep usual activities. University students have the classes of making their ideas to do at several World Heritage sites. They are not only make students understand the value of World Heritage sites, but also to make us aware of new meaning of the World Heritage sites. Then the next topic, World Heritage site as members of local cultural properties. World Heritage sites are originally a member of local cultural properties. They are not only important as a building, but also they have festivals which are not regarded as world importance. They might have shops in front of them which can be long and give them a familiar sense. Sometimes they are series of temples at foothills. People were visiting them in a course, but only one of them might have original importance and selected as World Heritage. It is time to find it and take good care of them. We should make a route to visit them. And the next topic, for better World Heritage tourism. Tourism may be an important role of World Heritage. I would not feel like to talk this for Kyoto, but to people who have World Heritage in other cities. To explain the World Heritage sites in multilingual way may be the basic idea. We can compare several language brochures. World Heritage sites itself, it will call people from long away countries, but they will not be satisfied if there is no other attractive things, local foods and sweets, and the places suitable to enjoy them. We can make these places while there are no travelers. To earn economic merits might be the reason of tourism promotion. They use biggest money for staying and food. it may be important to keep them stay more days at the town of World Heritage Site exists. Staying hotels have features which they can enjoy at the place itself. We should be aware of local characters of houses enough to feel like staying more days. We should be aware of local townscape in good condition. There are not many people satisfied by seeing World Heritage only. They need more attractive things, which would be local cultural matters. In conclusion, I talked about three things here. One is that it is important to have a platform to talk about cultural properties. Second is that we should take care of World Heritage Sites as a member of local cultural properties. They may have closer, I didn't show you pictures. These are pictures with small number of people. It's very quiet in the emergency of COVID-19. This is how it is in Kyoto. And I should say again, we should think of world tourism to make the town importance. The third is pay for the tourism at this time. Local cultural atmosphere may be important for travelers to stay in the town more days. Local foods, local house, and the local townscape might be important. Thank you for your attention. Thank you. That's all I prepared for presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Masafumi. Thank you so much, Professor. Now, we want to share and see the presentation of the Professor Florencio Compte. He is an architect and professor of the Catholic University of Santiago de Guayaquil in Ecuador, and he has excused his participation today because he must be present at the change of the president of his nation, Ecuador, today. But also we want to share and invite the architect Ricardo Pozo. We will join us. Welcome, Ricardo.
Thank you. Thank you very much to you and to everyone. Please confirm me if you can hear me. It's okay? Yes, okay. I will share my presentation here. I hope it's okay. Okay, please let me know if everyone can observe the presentation. Okay, it's okay. Thank you. Thank you. Hi to everyone, and thank you for this invitation. As already Karen mentioned, I was delegated by Florencio Compte, our team, and one of our main researchers and professors in our university related with the topic of heritage, urban and architectural heritage. Let me check this. And today I will present his presentation. This is an honor also for me because Florencio is, we have been working during the last 3 years very close related to the municipality, advising them in some specific topics about urban planning and also about heritage. So this is presentation seeks to summarize one of the main results of this process of be part of the process of developing the master plan of Guayaquil. So the presentation title is People as the Axis of Planning in Response to the COVID-19 Crisis. The case study is Guayaquil. Guayaquil is a coastal city of Ecuador. The population is around 3 million inhabitants, considering the conurbation of the city of the Great Guayaquil, as we called it, with the city of Duran and San Borondon. Our administration, or its administration, is municipal. We have just only one mayor, and the subdivision is urban and rural, is in urban and rural districts. The weather we are in the equatorial line, so it's tropical, hot and humid of the coastal region of Ecuador. And we have two main seasons, rainy from January to April and dry to May and December. Here is a picture of our downtown, and especially if you can check, is there the huge Guayas River. And at the south of the city, you can, at the background, as you can see, is the huge informal settlements of the south of the city. That is one of the main characteristics of our harbor city. Florencio developed or made this scheme trying to summarize this history of the 85 years of history of our city. It's not a too old city like the European cities, but we have a colonial age or time from the 1535 to the 1820, when we were two types of city. We had two types of city, the harbor city from the colonial time, and also a shipyard. One of the main shipyards of the South Pacific, Latin America, was Guayaquil in that time. Also from the 1820 to the 2021, in the Republican area or age, we have been an agricultural exporter city. And nowadays, after the impact of the COVID-19, we have been working very closely with the municipality and trying to find this type of point of view of rethinking our city in a more human city. As you know, the city of Guayaquil is characterized from the urban planning. It has experienced from the 1950s a huge process of rural-urban migration, and the consequence is a progressive but very fast type of urban growth based on the expansions to the peripheries. So we have the formal and the informal city at the same time. We have huge informal settlements that now are consolidated, but this dynamic is still working, and we still have new informal settlements at the north of the city. Also, we have the other extreme of this type of inequality or unequal urban growth, that is the huge formal settlements, and for example, the gated communities and other types of results of this process. So our city, and this is very similar like many others Latin American cities, we have experienced resilience since the beginning of the city, because we have been all the time vulnerable to natural disasters. We are in a country that is all the time exposed to earthquakes because its location, also volcanic. We have volcanic problems, and also the impact, for example, of the El Niño phenomenon is always a problem here. So our city has been all the time, the main points of our process of research that Florencio developed in our faculty. This is one of the main points that we have been all the time in this process of crisis. And that's why we have been also trying to find informally or formally developing the capacity of residents. In the left side, you can observe Guayaquil in the 1990s, mainly the downtown and some part of the shipyard of the El Astillero, were actually two main soccer clubs, the main important soccer clubs of Guayaquil, of the city, growth, Barcelona and Emelec. And in the downtown, there's the main origin of our city. In 2021, Guayaquil is a huge urban area, as you can observe, with huge problems related with inequality and accessibility to equipments and public services. We can talk about this a lot, but as you know, heritage, especially in our downtown, is one of the main topics, or also challenge to the protection of our heritage is one of our challenge. I have to be very clear, and Florencia also always talk about this. We don't have a downtown, an historical downtown officially declared, but one of the, I have to say, the second point that also Florencia always mentioned is that we have as heritage the history of development of the city as our heritage. And the downtown, its urban form, its urban morphology is our heritage that we still have to protect. We have not only one, we have many, like something about 150 or some 120, something so, officially declare buildings that are architectural heritage in the city, in the downtown especially. But this is the main position, trying to consider our urban morphology as an urban heritage to protect. So the municipality during the pandemic, one of the main reactions that we have in the city was to developing and updating a master plan. Yeah, as you know, it is a planning tool that seeks to guide the comprehensive development of the territory with four main parameters that we try to put over the table. The different uses of the soil, the city density, a better connectivity, and improved urban facilities. We also included in this master plan the concept of the inverted pyramid that I think all of you know, that is putting the pedestrians over all, and the cyclists, and in the bottom, public transport, logistics transport, and private transport. That means giving to the pedestrians and the cyclists more importance in the urban planning, and especially in the public space. I won't read this, but all the planning axes were focused on the human being. This master plan has five main axes: the inclusive city, the healthy city, the productive city, the city and its territory. But because of COVID-19, the concept of resilient city was not included. It was already included, but was the most important trying to develop. And we tried to focus on it as an opportunity. This emergency, this pandemic was an opportunity for us to organize again our urban planning. And for example, one of the processes that was related also with the protection of the heritage was the sectorization, trying to find to improve the quality of the mobility, connectivity, and catering in order to reactivate the productivity. That was one of the main problems as a consequence of the impact of COVID-19. So in the case of inclusive city, we talk about its recognition of rights of people in their diversity, prioritization, safe and equitable access. It is about the healthy city. It is the city with a healthy environment, good mobility, low pollution, higher physical activity, and low congestion. The productive city, that is also very important in this process of reactivation, Guayaquil as a pole of national development, the resilient city and the ability to prepare, react quickly, and recover from a disaster without affecting your development plans. The city and its territory, that is very important for us, the relationship of the city with the territory, the natural, especially the natural environment on which it's based, and resources are extracted to promote culture and knowledge. We included also concepts related to mobility, like the city of 15 minutes, la ciudad de 15 minutos. That is, that we, in this process of sectorization, to create these districts, including neighborhoods and sectors, we're trying to find and trying to propose the better distributions of services and equipment in order that the people could access to them from their homes in mainly 15 minutes as much. I know we have a lot to do about that, but this was one of the main steps. Thinking about just what pandemic shows us, how important accessibility is in cities. We also developed a process of finding and identifying centralities and distributing them in terms of hierarchy, how the equipments and service coverage could be improved to, and trying to decentralize some specific points like the urban downtown that is, in the case of pandemics, was so important for people living there in order to access those services and equipments, but at the same time, it has a lot of problems, especially in heritage, thinking about that. Finally, I want to say thank you for your time and your patience. This is an image of a very important church from the 1702, I think it was first constructed on wood. This is the last version, I have to say, in the San Francisco Square in the downtown of Guayaquil. And I hope someday you could visit us, and I hope also our municipality and Florencio especially, who is working close with them, could continue working on this very important topic about heritage and how can a good urban planning, a good quality urban planning could help to reactivate city after crisis, and at the same time protect our heritage that is still there and especially is in people. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ricardo, and also to Florencio today. Now we wait to Paolo Mota. Paolo Mota he's an architect, member of ICOMOS, International Council of Monuments and Sites. He is also associate member of the International Committee of Historic Societies, Towns and Village, CIVI, from ICOMOS, and also he is a member of the Sustainable Development Goals Working Group from ICOMOS. Also, he talking about today about the Integrated Heritage Enhancement Pilot Project about the World Heritage Sites of Mount Peglia Biosphere Reserve in Orvieto. Welcome, my friend Paolo.
Well, hello. First of all, yes, I will present just a model of something that could be a model. But here I think that having so many, well, I am old. I'm almost a dinosaur. I was assisting in '92 in the first conference in Rio on the climate. And at that time, things we were thinking were look at us like fools or like that. But after 30 years, luckily, all the world has been talking about that. But now with the pandemic, I see much greater attention, much more awareness, and thanks to new technologies, is a huge participation world around. And this makes me hope that things will go faster than with the climate change, not needing 30 years to modify things. The more I've been working on this topic since many years before the pandemic, in ICOMOS, in all the committees, in social quality institutions, and so on. But now I must say the situation is serious and almost more dramatic of what I was thinking. If I did knew what I was saying in a previous seminar just today, that I had to leave, I would have been changing my presentation, because the data as I got, they were absolutely much more frightening of what I was supposed to know. Well, now let me go here. Pantalla. Here it is. This. Okay. This is the presentation. Let me try to be to organize this. Okay. Inicio. Okay. Okay. This is my presentation, but what I want to say, the situation is very, very. Yes. Can you hear?
We don't see.
Come no? No?
No.
Now?
No, not yet.
Now? I have it.
Double click. No?
Oh my God.
I can see it.
You can see it?
Yes.
You can see it?
Yes, we can see.
Yes,
I can see.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, then the situation is much more dramatic, or I would say we must take it like more dramatic of what it is. Just in 1 hour ago, on a seminar I was assisting, organized by the Vatican Science Academy, about and with the Italian National Research Committees, they were presenting some data that we must have in mind. I would hope I could share their presentation soon and send to all of you. The disasters are here, we have them, but the scenario for the next future is quite dramatic, because a lot of indicators that we are taking now in account, they are already being surpassed. So climate change, what we are discussing or we're talking on the medias, is not all the topics that are interested. For example, today they were naming just 3 elements. One is the melting of a Greenland ice shelf. If the Greenland ice shelf is going like it's going on now, in 20 years, all the levels of the oceans will rise 6 meters. So already, cities like Manila and Jakarta that are already sinking will be joined by a part of Valparaiso, a part of Guayaquil, a part of Buenos Aires, a part of many other coastal cities. One. Second, if the permafrost that is covering most of all Siberia is starting to get melted, we'll have emissions of CO2 500 times more of what we have now. So no climate change will resist to that. So the situation is absolutely, I got like that. So I think that here, the problem is that we have to change completely our vision. And we must have just partial solutions of having smart cities with the pedestrian, the green roofs and things like that, or changing maybe to more sustainable mobility. I think I'm convinced now. I was thinking this years ago, but I think now we have to change deeply our paradigms. First paradigm, this one of mankind that has to be urbanized more than 70%, is something that has been decided in the last decades since the Athens chart in 1930 after Le Corbusier. But all this was expected when the population of the world was less than half of what it is now. Cities that were much smaller. Now we are assisting to mega cities that are arriving in China up to 40 million people. That is absolutely madness. And we are leaving away all the agricultural land. We are leaving away all the control of the territory. We are not taking care about floods, about woods that are burning and things like that. So we're breaking ourselves the let's say the balance that we had between the environment and the cities. The climate change has been giving, luckily, the attention to everyone of what is going on now. Why we have to concentrate 70% of the world there? Maybe till, I would say, 20 years ago, economic and factors were driving all this movement. So it was necessary to live in the city, to work, to develop, and to do that. New technologies have been changing completely this scenario. We have been trying them now, 2 years ago. All the world is using internet. We are talking with Tokyo, we are talking with Valparaiso. This is changing completely our vision. And the new technologies that can be applied to a lot of sectors, from agriculture to control of the nature, to preserve the woods and like that, they put us to have a completely new vision of mankind. Mega cities are responsible of 20% of the global of the climate change, of the emissions of CO2. They're drying up all the water and natural resources, and instead the smaller towns, I would not say we have to go to live like hermits in on the mountains, but if we have to appreciate again smaller towns and villages, we can have a better quality of life, could have a better environment, and have what is most important, to put men at the center of the situation again, social cohesion and community feeling. The smaller towns, you see here some photos, they have been keeping the terraces of the world good kept, preventing from floods, from disasters of landslides and so on. Traditional architecture has been always using traditional elements and always in the same type of balance within nature. So is necessary, what we are discussing since the 90s is a movement that is called a new vision and approach, social quality approach, that is taking in account not anymore only the economic issues, but only taking in account all the environmental issues and all the social issues regarding, and all these three factors combined can be useful to face in perspective in the future a new way of a settlement model. This is one example that we made in Italy. In Italy, we have long traditions from long time ago, and we are very respectful of the environment, of the heritage. As all of you know, we are the country with the most heritage places in the world. Well, maybe China now is the same like us, but into our ADN of everyone, the respect and the knowledge of this. And we have luckily a system of settlement that is spread out all over the territory. So we have a few years ago, we took a strategy that is respecting the natural environment like that. I took Mount Pelia biosphere.
We don't listen. Hiller?
Paolo, maybe he has some problem with his connection.
Yeah. Can you help him?
We lost Paolo, I think so.
Yeah. Can you communicate, please?
Okay.
I write him now. I call him now.
Okay.
Paolo is coming in again. Paolo
Thank you
is,
so much.
yeah.
Thank you.
Technology is running away. I don't know where you lost me.
Welcome, Paolo.
You lost me, I don't know
Where you
where.
are.
At what point did you lose me? Tienes que ponerme la pantalla de vuelta.
If
Wait,
you put
Paolo,
you,
I'm giving you the permission. I'm giving you the permission to present again. Give me a second. Yes,
But where
now
did
you can.
Yes,
Thank
where
you,
did you?
Paolo.
Okay.
Thank you, Humberto.
Okay.
Paolo?
Where did you? Can you see me?
Yes, but not your presentation.
Now? Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
it's okay.
But where did you lost me? Here?
I don't know. Full screen, please.
No, the number 8. The number
Okay,
8.
number 8. Okay.
The slide
So I was saying this is wait, number 8. Andiamo qua. Okay.
Full screen,
Okay.
Paolo. It's okay.
Okay. This area is a typical area of our country. It's half hilly, mountains and like that, and rivers. And in Italy, we have since 1982 a law protecting all the internal areas of the country. And this region Umbria, where I was living too, is very advanced on this, and people is very much aware about that. And so they are working on developing this area and to revamp all the local smaller towns and villages, to revamp the agriculture, to enhance a lot of tourism that we have already, but to have cultural tourism, because we believe that tourism can be a driver of the future development. And we want to preserve all the natural resources that we have. So we have very strong, I would say, natural assets to defend. For example, here we have one smaller town, is a city, historic city, I think is related to the Roman Etruscans and so on, that is over a hill that has been risking landslides and problems after earthquakes. Well, since the 30 years ago, they have been made with modern technologies, interventions to keep all the town protected and to protect all the rock that is inside. They have been making concrete injections, walls of containment, and so on. But always this has been done in many, many years. I would say it's already 25 years, and always taking protection of the heritage that is above. So every type of intervention that you can see, for example, on the photographs on the right up of the walls, has been respectful of what it was, the natural situation. And all the other interventions, you cannot see them anymore at all. Okay, so it's about 40 years that this is going on. Then, always in the same area, we have the big Tiber River crossing all the territory. And also this, we have been developing since the year 2007, I believe, a project for planning the entire area, the entire basin of the river. So taking in account all the cities, all the villages, all the dams, whatever it is, all this to show that is needed an integrated approach. This we have been discussing in all the other forums that was mentioning before. Karen, we have been discussing in ICOMOS, in other conference long time ago, but we're just making chats. So now it is important that we move to make something concrete. And to do something concrete, what we did, I jumped, these are some data to show the relevance. For example, in our region, how much smaller towns, they're representing 70% of the small municipalities, and they're hosting 16% of the population in whole Italy, about 10 million people. So they represent a lot, I would say, a relevant part of the people. So we hope that we can increase people living in these cities and living, because they're already living now, the big metropolis and the big, huge urban settlements. So we decided to implement, this was made just now, 2 months ago, because in Europe is arriving a lot of money to review all the, call it national plans of resilience and recovery. We presented a project that is regarding that area that I was saying you, to revamp all the entire area with a methodology of social approach, I would say. This is taking about 7 municipalities, 32,000. It's just a pilot project for a small area, but we think to extend it to the entire region, maybe if we can, to the rest of the country. These are some of the villages or historic monuments that we're trying to preserve, but with detailed interventions in all of them. We have already making plans about, we succeeded on the 29th of April of getting financement for 53 million euros, not only for our villages, but for the whole area, for the whole region, to develop all these type of projects to revamp smaller cities. So what I wanted to tell you is that it's time to rethink. You are all young. I have been in Antigua, I think, in 1962, so it's about 6 years ago. And Antigua was then a very small, fantastic, historic village, was only the downtown. I have been in Guayaquil in 67, Valparaiso many times. I think it's time that we have to move, we academic or our World Heritage, ICOMOS, I don't know who, to move and to make aware our politicians that it's time to change the vision. Because to live in these cities, like we sing already, Guayaquil and the same of Valparaiso, the small core downtowns, an enormous widespread peripheral areas, suburbia, with low quality of housing, low quality of services, commuting hours that are mad. All this is okay. Yes, someone was talking now about 15-minute cities, or to make local centers or neighborhood centers. It is something that is solving some of the problems, but it's not this. This is to review completely the vision. If you think that the sea will rise, I don't say 6 meters, but 1 meter already, a lot of our coastal areas will have problems, so the downtowns have to move. So I think, and we are working also on the financial issues. Europe seemingly is understanding that it's better to prevent than to resolve disasters after. So they're trying to make policies that are going on the direction of the prevention. Prevention means only also to see where to go, where to live, where to move. And in this new pandemic, global situation, and disaster situation, and climate situation, luckily, I think we are all at the same steps. Developed countries, developing countries, or underdeveloped countries. What is a mess? If you think that mega cities are mostly located in developing countries. So if you take of the 30 mega cities in the world, those over 10 million people or 20 million people, most of them are in Asia, they are in Africa, in Latin America is only few, and they're all located in coastal situation because it's easier to build there, it's costing less. But what is going to happen and how people is living in the, I have been, pandemic was catching me, I was in mission in South Africa. I was thinking that the favelas of Rio, there were something terrible. Well, favela of Rio is like Sweden in comparison of what I've been seeing of favelas in South Africa with 1 million people without electricity, without water, and like that. And they don't say anything how the pandemic is going, but is a disaster. They're keeping censorship and no one is talking. So my invitation is to start thinking long-term. Long-term, well, you can think long-term, so, but to review like we were thinking 30 years ago on Rio with climate change, now it's time that we go to defend heritage and environment and to proceed in this way. Thank you very much. Sorry for the technical problems. The first thing to do is to have global internet every place in the world. If not, we cannot move from where we are.
Absolutely. Thank you, Paolo. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, I want to share with you with Jaco Jesu Romaric. He is a manager of the Historic Society of Grand Bassam, Ministry of Culture and Francophonie from the Republic of Côte d'Ivoire. He talking about the case of the historic town of Grand Bassam. Welcome, Jaco. Jaco?
Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup. On m'entend? On m'entend?
Karen, maybe we can remember that
Oui,
we have
on t'entend, oui, oui.
interpretation.
Oui, oui.
We have
Ça va, ça va.
Okay.
We have interpretation, and everybody can choose in the bottom bar where is the logo of the word, can choose the language. Okay. Jaco will speak in French. Jaco will speak in French, and we'll listen in English.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
D'accord. Donc, je peux commencer? Je peux commencer?
Oui, oui.
OK. OK, merci bien. Je veux, au nom de la Côte d'Ivoire, saluer tous les palénistes et je veux également saluer et remercier les organisateurs qui nous donnent l'opportunité d'intervenir à ce séminaire international. Sur ce, le thème qui nous est soumis, c'est la durabilité et avenir après les catastrophes et pandémies. Nous allons présenter le cas de la ville historique de Grand Bassam. Nous devons savoir que la ville historique de Grand Bassam, c'est un site culturel, sinon c'est le seul site culturel de la Côte d'Ivoire qui est inscrit sur la liste du patrimoine mondial de l'UNESCO. Nous voulons dérouler le plan. Nous allons voir l'introduction. Nous allons voir en un le contexte général de la crise d'inondation et de la pandémie à COVID-19. Ensuite, en deux, nous allons voir l'impact de la crise d'inondation et de la pandémie à COVID-19. En trois, les actions menées par l'État partie, c'est-à-dire la Côte d'Ivoire. Ensuite, en quatre, nous allons voir les renforcements de la résilience des communautés aux catastrophes naturelles. En 5, nous allons présenter des perspectives et puis nous allons conclure. J'aurais bien voulu partager mon écran, voilà, pour que tous les participants puissent quand même voir avec des images, mais bon, on ne maîtrise pas la technologie, nous allons faire avec. En introduction, nous devons savoir que la ville historique de Grand Bassam est situé dans la région du Sud Komoué, au sud-est de la Côte d'Ivoire, sur un rideau de terre entre l'océan Atlantique au sud, la lagune Ouladine au nord, l'embouchure à l'est et le cimetière colonial à l'ouest. Elle a été inscrite le 29 juin 2012 sur la liste du patrimoine mondial de l'UNESCO lors de la 36e session à Saint-Pétersbourg en Fédération de Russie. Et il y a eu deux critères, le critère 3 et le critère 4 qui ont permis l'inscription de la ville historique de Grand Bassam. Et nous devons comprendre que ces deux critères se déclinent en 4 valeurs. Donc, il y a la valeur architecturale, la valeur environnementale et paysagère, la valeur historique et la valeur culturelle. Donc, comme vous l'avez vu plus haut, nous avons localisé le bien. Le bien est situé en Afrique de l'Ouest, précisément en Côte d'Ivoire. Et en Côte d'Ivoire, dans la commune de Grand Bassam, la commune de Grand Bassam qui est située au sud-est d'Abidjan. Donc, le bien inscrit, c'est-à-dire la ville historique de Grand Bassam, comporte 2 parties. Il y a ce qu'on appelle le cordon littoral, qui est la zone protégée. Et puis également, nous avons la deuxième partie du site, qui est le phare, qui est la zone liée. La ville historique comporte, comme tout bien inscrit, une partie préservée, protégée, qui fait environ 110 hectares. Et également, il y a la zone tampon tout autour. Donc, toute la surface fait autour de 550 mètres carrés. Pardon, 550 hectares. En ce qui concerne l'organisation de la ville historique, elle est structurée en 4 parties. Nous avons la zone résidentielle. Donc, au temps colonial, cette zone-là était la zone où habitaient les colons. Voilà pourquoi son nom, zone résidentielle. Nous avons la zone administrative. Comme le nom le dit, c'est là que se trouvait tout ce qui était l'administration coloniale. Ensuite, nous avons la zone commerciale. Comme le nom l'indique, c'est la zone de commerce où les échanges se déroulaient. Et puis, la 4e partie, c'est le village Inzima. Donc, les Inzima, c'est un peuple qui réside à la Côte d'Ivoire. Ensuite, nous voulons présenter les valeurs du site historique. Nous les avons signifiées un peu plus haut. Nous avons parlé de la valeur architecturale. Nous avons des édifices exceptionnels. Nous avons des édifices remarquables. Et nous avons des édifices ordinaires. Il y a également la valeur historique. Nous devons, pour notre propre gouvernement, nous devons savoir que le premier traité qui a été signé, c'est en 1842. Ensuite, la Côte d'Ivoire est devenue colonie française en 1893. Donc, vous voyez qu'il y a beaucoup d'éléments qui font référence à l'histoire, notamment également la marche des femmes de Grand Bassam du 22 au 24 décembre. Donc, vous voyez que les femmes ont joué un rôle important dans la libération des prisonniers politiques au niveau de Grand Bassam. Donc, voilà un peu tous ces éléments-là qui constituent la valeur historique. Ensuite, nous avons la valeur paysagère. C'est tout ce qui est cordon littoral, c'est tout ce qui est berge lagunaire et berge maritime. Et puis, nous avons également l'environnement paysager. Quand on voit Grand Bassam, c'est un peu un jardin aménagé. Ensuite, nous avons la valeur culturelle. Nous avons parlé tout à l'heure du peuple Inzima, voilà, qui ont une valeur culturelle qui est promue, qui est la Bissa. Donc, je souhaiterais inviter chacun de nous dans la période d'octobre-novembre pour vraiment comprendre ce que c'est que la Bissa, une danse de réjouissance. La ville historique des Grands Bassins est ainsi présentée crise et pandémie. Donc, en un, nous allons voir, comme nous l'avons signifié plus haut, le contexte général de la crise d'inondation de 2019 et de la pandémie à COVID.
Excuse me? Excuse me?
Oui, vous me suivez? Oui, ça va? On peut continuer?
You don't share your screen. Jacob?
Jacob, nous n'arrivons pas à voir tes slides. On t'écoute, mais on n'arrive pas à voir.
Mais en fait, c'est un téléphone que j'utilise. À partir du téléphone, comment partager l'écran?
Ah, je ne sais pas. Ça, c'est trop difficile. Il faut demander à Humberto. Humberto, ¿cómo se hace para ver del teléfono las diapositivas?
Okay.
Del teléfono.
Don't worry. We can do it without the presentation.
Ah, okay.
Go ahead.
Maybe
okay.
maybe he sent us his presentation on an email. I could share his presentation.
Si je l'ai envoyé. Oui.
I will share your presentation. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Merci bien.
Me just a second. Here it is. Could I share my screen?
Okay.
Yeah.
Please give me permission to share my screen.
Okay, you have.
Okay. Oui.
Here it is.
Jacob, nous avons ici les photos. On arrive à voir. Hein?
Bon, un peu déjà, pour que les gens comprennent les valeurs, on peut aller déjà avec la diapo numéro 4.
That one?
La número 4. 4.
Non, ça c'est la première. Oui, continuons. Voilà, voilà. Ça c'est la présentation du bien. Vous voyez, le bien en Afrique. Voilà. Voilà, c'est bien. Voilà, c'est bon. Non, remontez.
Volver atrás, ahí.
Remontez un tout petit peu.
Todavía una atrás. Ahí está. Ça va?
Voilà, c'est bon. C'est OK. C'est OK. Donc, ici, on voit la ville historique du Grand Bassam. Vous voyez, il y a deux parties. Il y a le cordon littoral. Descendez. Voilà. Donc, ici, c'est le bien qui est présenté. La ville historique du Grand Bassam. Comme je disais, la ville historique du Grand Bassam comporte deux parties. Il y a le cordon littoral que vous voyez, et puis il y a le phare. Donc, il y a deux parties qui constituent la ville historique du Grand Bassam. On peut progresser. On peut aller à la diapo suivante. Voilà. Donc, ici, ça montre les limites de la ville historique du Grand Bassam. Nous avons la zone tampon qui est en bleu. OK, ici, nous voyons l'organisation de la ville historique. Hein, vous voyez, il y a 4 parties. La zone, quand on va de l'est à l'ouest, il y a la zone résidentielle, ensuite la zone administrative, la zone commerciale et la zone, le village Inzima. On peut continuer?
Si.
On peut continuer là. Voilà. Cette image-là présente les différentes valeurs. La valeur universelle exceptionnelle du bien. Hein? Cette valeur exceptionnelle universelle qui est déclinée en 4 valeurs. Donc, c'est la première valeur que nous voyons, c'est la valeur architecturale. Vous voyez, les bâtiments et les différents pans disons, de la toiture. Donc, nous voyons des édifices exceptionnels et des édifices remarquables. En haut, c'est des édifices exceptionnels et en bas, c'est des édifices remarquables. On peut continuer? La diapo suivante. Voilà, là, c'est la valeur historique. Donc, il y a, voilà, ensuite, la valeur paysagère. Vous voyez? Voilà. Et puis là, nous avons la valeur culturelle qui est symbolisée ici par la royauté Inzima. Voilà. Donc, à partir de là, nous voulons présenter un peu la contribution de la ville historique de Grand Bassam face aux défis des crises et des pandémies. Donc, nous allons présenter le contexte général de la crise d'inondation de 2019 et de la pandémie à COVID-19. Ça, c'est la diapo qui suit. Les inondations provoquées par la crue du fleuve Omoué et ses affluents, notamment les lagunes Ébrié et Ouladine, dans l'extrême sud de la Côte d'Ivoire, suite à la forte pluviométrie observée au début du mois d'octobre 2019, a eu un impact significatif sur la ville historique dans la commune de Grand Bassam, avec comme facteur aggravant de cette crise la fermeture de l'embouchure. C'est pour nous donner de comprendre que le passage naturel des eaux, c'est-à-dire de la lagune et du fleuve vers la mer, a été obstrué de façon naturelle. Donc, du coup, une fois pendant cette crise-là, l'eau est montée et a commencé à inonder les parties les plus basses. Donc, on a assisté au déplacement dans certaines zones du bien en pirogue lors des inondations. Donc, ici, on avait la ville historique de Grand Bassam est devenue un peu une Venise de cette ville d'Italie. Vous vous rendez compte? Une ville qui avait plusieurs rues, routes, mais c'était en... Si on peut aller à l'image suivante, vous allez voir un peu quelques images. On peut aller à la diapo suivante pour voir un peu quelques images de ce dont on parle. Voilà. Donc, vous voyez, des gens qui se déplacent en pirogue, en pleine ville. Voilà. Donc, toute cette partie-là a été occupée par l'eau. Et vous voyez la partie en rouge. La partie en rouge montre un peu les zones qui ont été impactées par l'inondation. Donc, les zones qui ont été impactées par l'inondation, c'est la partie non lotie du village Nzima, les 2 berges lagunaires et la zone tampon comprise entre la lagune Ouladine et le phare, qui est la deuxième composante du bien. Donc, ici, sur l'image, vous voyez une personne sinistrée par les inondations. Pour rappel, il y a eu plus de 1000 sinistrés lors de cette crise d'inondation. Mais rapidement, les populations ont pu réagir. Voilà. Mais à peine remise de cette crise d'inondation sans précédent, que la ville historique sera confrontée encore à nouveau à une autre crise. Cette fois-ci, une crise sanitaire. qui frappe de plein fouet et qui continue de sévir au niveau mondial, c'est-à-dire la crise à COVID-19. Cette pandémie mondiale à laquelle devait faire face la ville historique de Grand Bassam a eu un impact véritable sur ce site du patrimoine mondial, tout comme la crise d'inondation. En deux, nous allons voir un peu l'impact de la crise d'inondation et de la pandémie à COVID-19 sur le site historique. Nous allons voir l'impact de la crise d'inondation. Les inondations subies par la ville historique ont eu un impact sur sa valeur universelle exceptionnelle, surtout la valeur architecturale et la valeur paysagère et environnementale. Nous pouvons les voir dans les images 4, 5 et 6. En effet, le bâti de la ville historique a été exposé pendant près de 3 semaines aux eaux dont le niveau excédait quelquefois plus d'1 mètre de hauteur. Par conséquent, ce bâti souffre, même après la décrue du fleuve Komwe, d'un fort taux d'humidité et des remontées capillaires. Il convient de noter qu'aucun édifice ou monument ne s'est effondré pendant cette catastrophe naturelle. Nous pouvons voir les images dans la diapo qui suit. Est-ce qu'on peut présenter les images dans la diapo qui suit? On va voir quelques images dans la diapo qui suit. On peut faire défiler les images. On peut montrer, voilà. Donc, vous voyez dans cette diapo, vous voyez en haut de l'écran, vous voyez un des édifices qui est le centre de culture qui est pratiquement inondé. Et puis, à votre droite, on a montré un peu des autorités qui marchaient dans les eaux. Voilà, qui marchaient dans les eaux. Voilà. Quant à la valeur paysagère et environnementale, les inondations ont eu un impact négatif sur certains aspects aménagés, espaces aménagés et le long de la voirie. Ces espaces aménagés ont été recouverts par endroits par la boue et autres déchets que charriaient les eaux. Par ailleurs, l'inondation a eu un effet sur la valeur culturelle, notamment la bissa. Tout à l'heure, je parlais de la bissa qui est une danse de réjouissance de la communauté Nzima. Ces effets se situent essentiellement à 2 niveaux. L'inondation du bosquet sacré et le double report de la date des festivités de la bissa. Donc, cette fête des réjouissances portée à 2 l'inondation. Donc, pour nous donner de comprendre, le bosquet sacré, c'est l'un des témoins majeurs qui se trouve dans la partie non lotie du village Nzima, qui a fortement subi les inondations. Ce sanctuaire traditionnel est un lieu de purification d'extrême importance pour la communauté Nzima dans le cadre spécifique du processus des festivités de l'Abissa et plus globalement dans la gestion des actions de régulation des relations intracommunautaires. Donc, qu'en est-il de l'impact de la pandémie à COVID-19? La crise sanitaire liée à la COVID-19 a conduit les autorités gouvernementales et municipales à prendre des mesures pour la préservation du site. Il s'agit du confinement partiel par aire géographique, la fermeture des hôtels et restaurants, l'interdiction des visites guidées à caractère éducatif sur le site, l'interdiction des excursions de masse et de baignade collective sur les plages de la ville historique de Grand Bassam, la suspension et le report de plusieurs activités de promotion du patrimoine culturel. Il convient de noter que la suspension de toutes ces activités a entraîné des effets négatifs sur le secteur économique et touristique de la ville historique de Grand Bassam. Par ailleurs, l'on assiste à un assouplissement de toutes ces mesures, ce qui conduit à une reprise progressive des activités du secteur économique et du secteur touristique. Quelles sont les actions, en 3, quelles sont les actions menées par l'État parti, c'est-à-dire par les autorités ivoiriennes? Donc, nous allons voir les actions menées relativement à la crise d'inondation. Voilà. Donc, pendant la crise d'inondation, dès les premiers moments des inondations, les autorités étatiques et locales de la Côte d'Ivoire ont pris d'importantes mesures en vue de faire face à la crise. Il s'agit, entre autres, de la mise en place d'un comité technique et multi-acteurs de gestion de la crise. Donc, toutes les parties prenantes faisaient partie de ce comité-là pour orienter un peu les actions à mener sur le site. Ensuite, il y avait la mise en service de motopompes afin d'évacuer les eaux accumulées sur le site dans l'océan Atlantique. Voilà. Donc, ces motopompes-là ont permis de véritablement, un tant soit peu, vraiment alléger la souffrance des populations qui véritablement se trouvaient dans les eaux. Ensuite, nous avons l'assistance et la relocalisation des populations sinistrées hors des zones inondées. Voilà, donc c'est l'image que vous voyez sur votre écran. Donc, il y a eu également une distribution de nourriture parce que les populations ne pouvaient plus avoir accès à leur maison. Donc, il fallait les reloger pour qu'ils puissent passer la nuit, les reloger pour qu'ils puissent véritablement faire face à leurs besoins primaires. Ensuite, nous avons fait la saisine de l'UNESCO par le canal de son bureau hors siège d'Abidjan en vue d'une assistance internationale d'urgence. Ensuite, la mise en œuvre effective de l'important projet de réouverture de l'embouchure. Tout à l'heure, je vous disais que l'embouchure naturellement était fermée et cela a participé à aggraver l'inondation sur le site. Donc, vous voyez l'image qui est en bas. Là, c'était le lancement du projet de réouverture de l'embouchure. Là, c'était l'un des premiers ministres avec les autorités étatiques et puis les autorités coutumières pour donner un peu la volonté du gouvernement de pouvoir, un tant soit peu, apporter une solution à cette crise d'inondation. Donc, en ce qui concerne les mesures qui ont été prises relativement à la pandémie à COVID-19, outre les décisions de confinement et de suspension des activités à caractère culturel pour la préservation du site, les autorités gouvernementales ont également arrêté les mesures suivantes. Donc, voici les mesures que les autorités gouvernementales ont prises. Il y a l'appui financier au secteur économique et touristique. Tout à l'heure, je vous disais que c'était vraiment un secteur sinistré. Donc, il était important que l'État puisse appuyer le secteur économique et touristique parce que la ville historique est un site balnéaire. Donc, avec la COVID, les populations ne pouvaient plus, les touristes ne pouvaient plus avoir accès. Ensuite, l'autre élément que l'État a fait, c'est l'appui financier aux groupes artistiques, aux fédérations de groupes artistiques. Parce que pendant la COVID, les fédérations artistiques ne pouvaient plus prester. Donc, il fallait que l'État puisse leur apporter cet appui. Ensuite, le point 4, c'est vrai que l'État a posé des actions pour soulager un peu les populations, mais également les populations locales ne sont pas restées indifférentes vis-à-vis de cette crise. Donc, en 4, nous allons voir le renforcement de la résilience des communautés aux catastrophes naturelles. L'histoire révèle que la ville historique de Grand Bassam a connu au cours de son développement plusieurs catastrophes liées à des épidémies de fièvre jaune. Oui, la fièvre jaune, pendant la période coloniale, a décimé une bonne partie de la population coloniale et également la population riveraine, mais les populations ont eu véritablement ce sursaut, ces pratiques traditionnelles pour pouvoir vaincre cette fièvre jaune. Il y a eu également des inondations, des incendies, beaucoup d'autres pandémies, mais les populations ont pu puiser dans leurs ressources internes pour faire face aux catastrophes, aux pandémies. Donc, elles ne sont pas restées inactives. Donc, on va vous donner un élément pour comprendre ces mesures de résilience des populations de la Côte d'Ivoire et particulièrement les populations locales de la ville historique de Grand Bassam. Ainsi, dès l'apparition des inondations, Le peuple Nzima, c'est-à-dire c'est une communauté locale, à l'instar des autorités étatiques, ont enclenché leur processus de gestion traditionnelle de crise à travers notamment les actions des prêtresses et des guerriers du roi. Voilà. Donc, les populations locales ont actionné leur mécanisme de gestion traditionnelle des crises au travers de ces prêtresses-là et au travers des guerriers du roi pour conjurer un peu le mauvais sort. Donc, au nombre de ces activités, on a pu noter les libations et des supplications à l'endroit des mânes. Donc, de la vie des communautés, ces rituels ont fortement contribué à la mort de la décrue de la lagune ou la digue, dont l'aboutissement aura été la fin de la crise. Toutes les communautés locales qui vivent souvent dans les environnements vulnérables et difficiles sont parmi les premières à souffrir du changement climatique et des aléas naturels. C'est pourquoi, c'est vrai, on a parlé de la résilience avec les pratiques des gestions traditionnelles, mais pour réduire les facteurs de risque et l'ampleur des catastrophes susceptibles de survenir, il s'avère impérieux de renforcer la stratégie de prévention et des dispositifs de veille, d'alerte précoce et de réponse à travers la mise en œuvre effective du plan de gestion des risques de catastrophes. Donc, c'est un élément important, c'est-à-dire la mise en œuvre du plan de gestion des risques de catastrophes. Donc, à ce niveau, ma direction générale, c'est-à-dire l'Office ivoirien du patrimoine culturel, c'est la direction générale dont relève ma structure, à travers ma structure, donc, a organisé en 2015 un atelier national consacré à l'élaboration du plan de prévention et de gestion des risques de catastrophe pour le site, en collaboration avec le Fonds du patrimoine mondial africain. Donc, renforcer la résilience des populations vulnérables aux catastrophes naturelles est donc essentiel pour limiter leurs coûts humains, sociaux et économiques. Donc, après avoir déballé tous ces éléments, c'est bon de présenter quelques perspectives. Voilà. Donc, les catastrophes et pandémies subies par la ville historique de Grand Massam ont révélé la fragilité de notre patrimoine culturel et les nombreux défis auxquels sont confrontés nos pays, ainsi que les institutions en charge de la gestion des sites patrimoniaux. C'est pourquoi il importe de poursuivre les actions suivantes. Donc, voici des propositions que nous faisons pour véritablement juguler les crises et les pandémies, pour renforcer un plan de préservation et de gestion, renforcer la résilience des communautés face aux catastrophes et pandémies. Ensuite, doter nos institutions patrimoniales de ressources, c'est-à-dire ressources humaines, ressources matérielles, ressources financières, pour permettre à ces institutions patrimoniales d'atteindre leurs objectifs. Parce qu'il faut dire que les ressources qui sont mises à la disposition de ces institutions patrimoniales ne sont pas suffisantes. Ensuite, renforcer les capacités du personnel des institutions en charge de la gestion du patrimoine culturel. Vous savez que notre secteur est un secteur qui est dynamique, donc c'est bon que nous puissions partager les savoir-faire, parce qu'aujourd'hui, notre monde est devenu un village planétaire. Donc, c'est bon de partager les expériences des autres. Voilà pourquoi nous saluons ce séminaire que nous sommes en train de partager. Il faut également sensibiliser et éduquer les communautés, les différents publics et usagers des sites patrimoniaux. C'est très, très important de pouvoir toujours sensibiliser et éduquer tous ces usagers qui fréquentent les sites patrimoniaux. Nous voulons également proposer de mettre en place pour renforcer le système de visite virtuelle des sites patrimoniaux ayant un grand intérêt afin de les promouvoir. Vous avez vu qu'avec la COVID, on ne pouvait plus voyager, mais avec les systèmes virtuels, avec les sites Internet, il faut pouvoir renforcer ces éléments-là pour qu'à distance, on puisse véritablement continuer à instruire le public, on puisse instruire les communautés locales. Ensuite, la dernière proposition que nous voulons faire, c'est de renforcer la coopération bilatérale et multilatérale. Comme je le disais tantôt, aujourd'hui, le monde est devenu un village planétaire, donc c'est bon de renforcer la coopération bilatérale et multilatérale. Donc, quelles conclusions pouvons-nous donner? Le patrimoine culturel de la ville historique de Grand Bassam peut s'avérer être un véritable levier de durabilité et d'avenir face aux catastrophes et pandémies. Pour cela, il faut d'une part un véritable engagement des autorités étatiques et locales dans l'accompagnement des gestionnaires des sites patrimoniaux. Et d'autre part, la prise de conscience des communautés locales et des publics vis-à-vis de leurs responsabilités dans la gestion participative, je dis bien dans la gestion participative de ces biens fragiles. Je vous remercie pour votre attention. C'était le gestionnaire de la ville historique de Grand Bassam. Encore merci pour cette invitation qui nous donne de partager un peu cette petite expérience que nous avons acquise suite à l'inondation que nous avons subie en 2019, également suite à la pandémie de COVID-19. En tout cas, nous voulons encore vous dire merci pour l'invitation que vous nous avez faite. Merci. Thank you very much.
Merci, Daco. Merci beaucoup. Thanks a lot for sharing all your work. Any questions? Any things to talking about? I want to ask you, everybody, about how can we protect the World Heritage Sites and at the same time give them life and new meaning? How do you think about this? Paolo?
Well, you know, this is something that we're discussing almost every day within ICOMOS. Well, the ICOMOS is a very traditional platform. So now we're changing to this new one. Now, the fact is that till now, the heritage has been seen like a monument or a place in favor for the visitors. Instead, we must change here to the vision. Heritage is not belonging only to the visitors, but is belonging to the local community. The local community must be the main future actor also in the heritage. So they must be those who will find the better way, always with assistance of external institutions, how to protect their patrimony. Today we talk about patrimony, and whenever you go around the world, you find that everything is done in a globalized way, selling things that are not produced there, organizing tours that are made by someone else, and so on. So it's a very little return and participation of the local communities. So the local communities must become now, and I hope this will be one of the issues that our World Heritage in the approaches is trying to do, is to change also in this heritage vision, the relevance of them. What we have to do? National authorities should provide surely some guidelines and should provide, let's say, startup financing, because heritage is surely costing money, but we have to put up a mechanism of activities related to the sites that are involving local communities, not external souvenir sellers or external tour operators and so on. So the revenues from the heritage should go back to the communities. And when the community is already, I would say, enough for her economy, about that is the right dimension, because we have been seeing many places around the world in which the tourist the heritage has been becoming a destination attraction and has been creating enormous businesses around. About maybe places that were not having so much relevance, but it was a business. So around this was creating an enormous structure around of external actors needing more money, putting different costs and so on. So we must take heritage like a part of everyday life of the local community, and the tourism should become cultural tourism. We don't want any more heritage places destroyed by massive tourists. Massive tourists has been destroying every place. So all the policies that now are ongoing of making a closed number, selecting the visits, deciding what is open and what is not open, is one of the things that should be in every heritage management plan. Okay, I think.
Thank you, Paolo. Ricardo?
Yes, thank you. I totally agree with Paolo, and also I think in all the presentations we have been discussing some points of view and some strategies how to protect heritage in this case. But I would like to add just only our experience in the downtown of Guayaquil. Thinking from the urban planning point of view, we developed a proposal that is actually something that, for example, in Santiago de Chile, you already did, that is recover and reuse the heritage buildings, trying to bring back again families to the downtown of the city. And this, we have huge examples of public policies to promote that, and also urban planning normatives. But one concept that we are trying to propose is that the people that we are trying to attract again to live inside the downtown, they are the heritage, not only the buildings, not only the urban areas. People is the heritage, because we developed a proposal related to the urban palimpsest in this process of rethinking the urban morphology of our downtown as our main heritage, urban heritage. And one of the main point of view of the study of the urban form is that it's not only the plots, it's not only the blocks, it's not only buildings, it's people living there. So I totally agree with Paolo that people, communities, families should be part of this heritage in order to protect them. Because as we checked in the case of natural disasters or economic crisis, for example, in this case related to the pandemic, people is the only thing that we can, solve the problems, trying to protect directly the place where they live. So, and this I saw that in some German cities when I lived there, how people, for example, these old buildings in heritage from the industrial area in the Ruhrgebiet in the west of Germany, we visit the houses, the old houses from the labor families, and you know, they are not just only to see, there are people living there. And they protect these houses. They have a special normatives, but they have to take care about the fachadas, the fronts of the house, but they protect the house inside, from inside to outside. So I think that's the main point, that we have to take care and communicating them to the local authorities so they can understand and help to protect it. Thank you. That's all.
Ricardo, and also about this, what is the role of the communities in the reconstruction process in World Heritage Sites after disaster, for example, Jaco, for the flood zones, and the COVID-19, for example? What do you think?
It's extremely, extremely important because, for example, here in Guayaquil, we have a lot of informal settlements, people living there since many years, decades. But in the downtown, we have experienced many types of processes. But nowadays, we don't have families there. We have more commerce. It's totally occupied by the commercial use of the soil. And we are trying to come to bring back families in order that they can be part of the heritage and they can protect it. Nowadays, it's difficult because all the main and the more important real estate companies and also contractors, they are putting the focus on the gated communities as the main offer of houses. But in the case of natural disaster, for example, in the downtown floods or earthquakes, when the buildings are in use first by families, we could be sure that they were already studied, that they can be prepared for that. And in the case of a disaster, I think people are the first one that would be interested in reconstruct these buildings or these areas in order to continue living, and also the social cohesion, the relation with the neighborhood, the identity with the place. There are many internal forces that we cannot see them, but are very important for the reconstruction. Maybe more than the money itself.
Yeah. Thank you, Ricardo. Paolo, yeah?
Yeah, I would say something that was saying Ricardo. When I'm talking about heritage, I'm not talking only about the tangible, because tangible, you can rebuild, reconstruct, you can make fake cities like Carcassonne, rebuild it, is the intangible. When you're losing that, things are gone. So that's why we want to retain people to stay in the smaller heritage or historic cities of Italy, because they are part of the heritage. I make the example, Karin knows I have a house in a small medieval village. I'm living in Spain now, but in my village has not been, in the first wave in Europe, a single case of COVID because the town was closed. Elder people, they were each other helping. Was someone going to make shopping for everyone in the supermarket and leaving on the door? So is a social cohesion has been keeping that. And in the case of natural disasters, if a house is lived up by people, we have earthquakes there, everyone is making a part of tremendous events, is making maintenance, is keeping them up. Is enough. I have to go now to my house in Italy because I have not been there for 1 year. The roof has been leaking and going down. If no one is taking care, that one is crumbling down. So it is very important that we have local communities be that. And that is the main, when you're talking about downtown, having people living in Guayaquil, is exactly the same. Well, Valparaiso, if the old flat, El Plano, would have been keeping that, like you were trying with the Patrimony office like that, to rebuild and have people living there, is that the way? Because if I'm rebuilding for a nice real estate and having second houses of people coming from Santiago, is not the same, because you're losing the local commerce, the local cafes, you're looking this spirit. Can you think, for example, Rio de Janeiro, without people, they're losing it. They're losing the carnival because they're sending the people out. And so soon there will not be any more Escola do Samba of Leblon or of the downtown Santa Teresa. So this is what we have to do. And I say, new technologies allow to make all this. Before, probably was not possible. You should live where it was a factory. You should live where it was your rubber. Now you can not, you don't need anymore to move like it was. So I think we have to follow this new scheme. I will send you this approach that is like was saying Ricardo, is taking people in the center of the thing. That is solving everything, for sure.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. I don't know, Dominique, Masafumi.
Yes, Karen. Yeah, like everybody said, it's about people. And people is the one that gives meaning to the cultural assets. And meanings are a social construction that keep on building it. So if we make meanings accessible to new generations that really understand what it's about, heritage, then we can think about sustainability in time. But it has to be the people. The people is the center of everything. Antigua was the key of it. We don't reconstruct because that's the important part of Antigua. We don't have to reconstruct everything, but the community of Antigua has proven to be resilient, even if it's not the same one as it was many years ago, but there is a sense of community in Antigua, for example.
Thank you so much, Dominique. And also, how can we make a relationship between the local government, for example, and the civil society during emergency in World Heritage Sites? What do you think about this?
I think the multi-level governments is the key, the top, bottom, and bottom up. It's kind of hard when the local authorities are not the best ones, but society needs to keep pushing and pushing and pushing the authorities, because the community is the one that's still there. The authorities come and go every 4 or 5 years, depending on every country. But the community is the one that can be pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing to do this or do that and assure that the things doing the best well possible.
Thank you so much, Dominique. Rako, do you want to say something?
Merci bien, oui, effectivement, je vais ajouter quelque chose. Je veux abonder dans le même sens que les différents panélistes. L'homme, les communautés doivent être au cœur de tout ce que nous faisons. Hein, voilà pourquoi dans ma présentation, j'ai parlé de gestion participative. Parce que s'il n'y a pas de gestion participative, or nous savons que le patrimoine, il est fait pour les communautés. Aujourd'hui, si on parle de patrimoine, c'est parce que ces communautés-là ont su préserver ce patrimoine. Hein, tout à l'heure, il y a un panéliste qui parlait de l'intangibilité. Voilà. Mais les communautés ont su conserver ce savoir-faire, qui ont traversé les générations. Et aujourd'hui, on a ces éléments. Donc, pour préserver ce patrimoine, il faut que ces communautés soient au cœur. Il faut redonner aux communautés leur place. Il faut donner aux communautés d'avoir confiance en elles-mêmes. Et j'ai évoqué un élément concernant le système le système traditionnel de gestion des crises. Mais aujourd'hui, on est en train de perdre ces éléments, ces savoir-faire. Je vous ai dit, la ville historique de Grand Bassam a traversé plusieurs crises, notamment la fièvre jaune, etc. Mais si ces populations-là ont survécu, c'est parce qu'elles avaient un système de gestion traditionnel pour pouvoir lutter contre ces crises. Donc, je pense que c'est à l'État de pouvoir créer cette confiance-là pour que les communautés soient mises au cœur dans la gestion de leur patrimoine à partir de leurs ressources internes, à partir de leur système de conservation. Je pense qu'on peut tirer beaucoup de choses. C'est vrai que l'État est en train de prendre une place prépondérante vis-à-vis des communautés, mais il faut ramener les populations. Il faut donner aux populations de pouvoir continuer ce travail et l'État puisse accompagner. Il y a un autre élément également que je voulais partager. Certainement, certains sont revenus là-dessus, c'est les finances. Voilà. Vous savez, nos pays du Sud, tout ce qui est patrimoine, c'est suffisamment de moyens. Mais il faut que l'État puisse accompagner par les ressources financières pour aider les gestionnaires à pouvoir faire leur travail. Parce que si les moyens financiers ne sont pas mis, on dit la belle femme, elle ne peut donner que ce qu'elle a. Donc, c'est bon que le problème de finances soit mis au cœur. Et je vais saluer également, vous voyez, cet échange de savoir-faire que nous sommes en train de faire ce matin ou bien l'après-midi. C'est important. Au travers des échanges tels que votre séminaire, je pense que c'est un partage de savoir-faire et ça permet également d'inspirer toutes nos actions que nous faisons. Parce qu'aujourd'hui, le monde est un village globalisé. Donc, vous voyez qu'il y a un lien entre les différents patrimoines. Donc, aujourd'hui, c'est bon que nous puissions partager c'est bon que nous puissions donner l'expérience des autres et cela nous permet véritablement de pouvoir faire face à la préservation de nos biens face à toutes ces crises que nous traversons. Voilà un peu ce que je voulais dire.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup. Currently in Chile, the discussion of a new constitution will begin in the next month. How should the issue of asset of the protection be addressed about the heritage, about the communities, about the institutional? What do you think about?
First, well, I have to congratulate because Chile has been, I don't know what side, but has been doing an example of bottom-up, really change of policies, something unthinkable 10 years ago. And with the precedents that we've had in Chile was not so very easy. But is the bottom-down movement, you don't have too much time. So I think you should go to look. Maybe I will send you the last policies that the European Union has been putting on these issues. There are already programs that are on Green Europe, the sustainability, the social. It is already tools that can be a model maybe to be somehow adapted and placed to put heritage and environment, but with I would say policies that are already applied and working, so they can be just a good direction. But it took a long time, like before I was saying Django, the participation bottom up and like that. When it was 30 years ago or 40, we were talking about climate change, we could just talk on the phone, send a letter, have a response. After 6 months, we were meeting like that. Now is everything online. So every movement we're doing now is a small sand spoon that we're putting inside to build something much bigger and faster in short term. So I think it is very important that this participation is wide, and Chile has surely a big capacity in democratic preparation on the past, but I think if they can follow some other path that has been already applied, can be maybe helping to be faster. And it's important that the Constitution is getting in, these topics are inside like one of the basic points of the Constitution, the social participation and the environment and the heritage and culture. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Any comments? No?
Oui, je peux.
Yeah, d'accord. Merci. Oui. Oui.
Allez-y, Jacob, parle.
Je peux prendre la parole? Ok.
Oui.
Donc, ok, je veux vraiment saluer le panéliste qui vient d'intervenir. C'est bon que dans nos constitutions, nous pouvons prendre l'aspiration des populations. Donc, je vais donner un exemple concernant la Côte d'Ivoire. Il y avait une loi qui protège notre patrimoine culturel. C'était une loi qui ne faisait même pas référence à notre patrimoine culturel immatériel. Vous savez, nous sommes un pays francophone et généralement, les repères, c'est la France. Voilà. Donc, la première loi qui avait été établie ne prenait même pas en compte notre patrimoine culturel immatériel. Mais aujourd'hui, cette loi-là est en train d'être révisée pour tenir compte des préoccupations actuelles, c'est-à-dire les communautés locales. Donc, aujourd'hui, on est en train de donner une place importante à notre patrimoine culturel immatériel pour permettre au gouvernement de pouvoir avoir une vue plus large en ce qui concerne la protection, en ce qui concerne la gestion participative des communautés. Donc, vraiment, nous voulons saluer l'expérience du Chili. Alors, et puis, nous voulons demander vraiment à nos autorités de toujours consulter les populations parce que le patrimoine concerne ces populations. Donc, si nous intégrons dans notre constitution, dans nos lois, dans nos décrets, dans nos arrêtés, les aspirations des populations, je pense que notre patrimoine ne sera pas laissé pour compte parce que on aura pris en compte les désirs des populations. Et c'est en cela que notre patrimoine sera mieux protégé. Voilà ce que je voulais dire.
Merci. Merci, d'accord. Any comments? Masafumi, professor, do you want to share something with us?
Some questions from the people attending, from the others.
Yeah, from
Not only us. Don't be scared, talk. Come out.
I put the name of the Constitution if anybody want to make a comments. I don't know. Masafumi, we don't. No. Professor Yamasaki?
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
You can hear now. Okay.
Yeah,
in
thank you so much.
Constitution, I think in Japan, we didn't write that we have a right to keep or protect landscape in Constitution. And I think it is important for your Constitution to write. People have the right to care about the landscape, and they can protect, they can also develop. But landscape is important. In our Constitution, landscape is not written about, we didn't have any part that we have the right about landscape. It is important, I think. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you so much, Professor. Any comments for the audience? Karen? Yeah, Ricardo, please.
Oh, thank you. No, just only to add one comment that I think from the urban planning point of view, that is my field, heritage sometimes is by the communities and also by local governments, sometimes could be observed like something very special, very outside from the normal life. And that's a very huge problem that we have to try to solve or to address in cities. For example, in my case in Guayaquil, I was very impressed by the comments of our other colleagues, especially from Professor Masafumi, about landscape. And I had the opportunity to hear this word also in the Institute of Geography in Germany, in the University of Duisburg. The word in German, Landschaft or landscape, is not only the image that you have from a urban or rural settlement or area or environment. It's also people, the territory, and all their cultural and specific manifestations that you can observe there and life there. So I think one point could be, we have, in the case of our Latin American cities, and especially in Guayaquil, we have to rethink or try to fusion or to join the two words, like the two concepts of heritage, landscape, and also people, communities, identity. I think that's one of the our main important challenge, because it could be in our national constitution, it could be public policies, but if there is no education, educated that can understand, we cannot transmit this this type of concepts to the people that normally they are thinking just only in survive and trying to live every day, yeah, it would be impossible. And secondly, I just wanted to add that I was a student in the master program of the Pontificia Universidad Católica de Chile, the Urban Development Master Program. So it was in 2010, I was totally impressed about the advance from Santiago, the city, in terms of protections of the downtown. So I think maybe I am not expert about the constitution of the Chile and what it need to have, but I think that maybe these very clear concepts about heritage and its relation with identity is very, very important, not to forget that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ricardo. Anyone else? I want to thank all the speakers from this session. My dear Dominique Chang, Masafumi Yamasaki, my professor and Dominique professor in Ritsumeikan University, Florencio Comte and Ricardo Pozo, my dear friend Paolo, we work in Valparaiso so many years, and Jaco, Jesu, thank you so much, and the team of Humberto Bonomo, Karen Gould, and all the team. Thank you so much. Karen, do you want to share any comments?
Thank you, Karen. And as you said, thank you to the speaker for the contribution and the participation. It was a really interesting session related to the sustainability and future after disasters and pandemics. I think everything has been said, so I would like to invite you to our next session. Our next session is Information Technologies for Preparedness and Mitigation Prior or After Disasters and Pandemics, moderated by Mario Santana Quintero, Professor and ICOMOS Secretary General. So thank you very much and see you in our next session.
See you. Thank you so much, everybody.
Gracias a todos.